Hello and welcome back to Agile Coaching Foundations program. We are very happy to have you start your Agile coaching journey here with us at Digital Agility Institute. In the last video, we talked about coaching agreement as part of the coaching process, and within the coaching process, we also have to provide feedback and feed forward. These are the two elements through which we help the client reflect more and create a greater awareness. It's not about being judgmental. Many people probably feel that to provide feedback or feed forward, we will have to judge the person in front of us. No, that need not be always the case. To provide feedback, it could be your observations as well, or your perception of how the client is thinking, how the client is behaving, how the client's mental model is. It is your reflection, and you are only giving it back to the client just as a form of observation or your intuition about a certain situation. So feedback and feed forward are two mechanisms that we use. Now, what is the difference between feedback and feed forward before we get into how these two operate, right? Feedback is past oriented. Feedback is about how the client has been behaving, or how the client has been thinking, what has been client's mental model, what has been their beliefs or values that you have seen. So it's something which you have observed through your discussions, through your interactions with the client so far in the journey. So it's always focused on what has happened in the past, how it has happened in the past, what has been the thought process the client has been displaying in the coaching conversation. So it's focused on what has already gone, what has already been done, right? Now feed forward is more future oriented. So what can the client think of better? What needs to change in the client's thought process? What needs to change in the client's belief system? What needs to change in the way they look at and perceive the situations? That is more future oriented. So feed forward is a mechanism that has been brought in, or I would say visualized by Marshall Goldsmith. Marshall Goldsmith is one of the best leadership coaches across the globe for a long time now. So if you have not heard of Marshall Goldsmith, I think you should always go ahead and look for his views. There have been a lot of books that he has written. You take the case of 2-3 books that I can think of right now. Triggers is one of the very good books. Or you can also think about What Got You Here Won't Get You There. He has written a number of books on leadership and human behaviors as well. And he also runs a program called 100 Coaches. He did it once to train 100 successful people across the globe with everything he learned, everything he has experienced. So that was one of his programs that unfortunately I couldn't be part of, and I applied, but it didn't work out. So let's look at clean feed, one of the mechanisms to provide feedback. So one of the ways to provide, or one of the frameworks that we can use to provide feedback, is called as clean feedback. Now, clean language is something that is again gaining prominence in the coaching industry. There is a clean coaching framework as well if you want to really look at it. So there is a good book called Clean Language if you want to read, and how clean language is used to coach people to get them greater awareness. So clean language and clean feedback, especially the framework for clean feedback, has 3 steps. The first one is evidence. So whenever you are providing feedback to your client or anyone who is seeking feedback, we base that feedback on the evidence. Means, when if I have to provide feedback to, let's say, one of my peers, I would be saying, hey, I heard you saying this in one of the conversations, and that word or statement that I am using should be exactly what was said by my peer in that conversation. So what we are trying to say is the evidence is exactly as what you have heard or what you have seen, right? It's not about what you perceived it to be or what you assumed or what you thought it can be or what it meant. No, it is about the evidence, is about the fact, right? It's not the truth. Truth is different to fact. So it is the fact which you would be stating, whether it is the behavior that you have observed, it is the kind of what they have said. So exactly what you have seen or observed or heard, right? That is what is based on. So you provide the evidence. Then second is your inference, how you perceived it or how you understood that evidence from your point of view. And then what you felt was the impact because of that particular statement or that particular behavior or that particular thought process. So these are the three things. First is the evidence, exactly what you saw or what you heard or what you observed, and what you made of that, what you understood it to be, what you perceived it to be, and then what you saw as an impact because of that. So that is about providing clean feedback. Okay, clean feedback is a framework which is again very useful because you are not talking about your assumptions, your own perceptions, or your own belief systems influencing that feedback. It is exactly based on the evidence that you provide, right? And it is based on the factual evidence that you are going to look at. So that is about providing clean feedback. So use clean feedback model if you have to provide feedback to the client. Maybe it is based on an opinion that they shared, maybe based on the mental models that they displayed, based on the behaviors or habits that they highlighted. Could be based on anything, but it has to be evidence based. Okay, evidence, inference, impact. That is the clean feedback model. So it is one of the very good models to use, but it is a bit difficult. You can make it with practice. Okay, that's about clean feedback model. Now next, moving on to feed forward, right? Now in this, it actually talks about feed forward is based on what the client wants. It's not about what you want to provide a feed forward on. It's about asking the client, what is the feed forward you want? What is that specifically? What are the two things, three things that you really want to change? And then you can provide your feed forward for that, right? You ask the client specifically what they want to get feed forward on, and then you provide that feed forward which can help the client to make a positive change, to accomplish a positive change in overall their outcome or their way of living, right? That is then in that model you have to help the client understand on the process of feed forward. Feed forward is about whatever is given as feed forward, you just take it, understand it, listen it actively, make notes, and say thank you. There is no contesting, there is no justifying, or there is no, ask. You can ask clarification, but there is no additional questioning for that feed forward, right? So it is simply accepting what is being said and saying thank you. There is no comments or there is no feedback provided by the client. There is no justification. It is just whatever is being given is taken, accepted, and you just move forward with that feed forward that is given. And once you have done that, asking feed forward from the client is also important to make the coaching more effective. So we also ask feed forward from the client. Can you help us if we could do something differently tomorrow in the next session for you to get a better outcome? What could be the something we could change? So that is a feed forward. And whatever they say, you again listen, accept, and thank the client. You're not going to again comment or contest, oh, I did this because you said this, or I observed this, I thought this would help. This is, oh, no. All that contesting, justifying, commenting is not allowed in feed forward. You just ask for feed forward on specific aspect that you want it to be focused on, and once it is given, you accept it and then move on. Thank the client or thank the coachee or thank the coach, and then go ahead with identifying ways to act on that feed forward. So those are the two mechanisms: feedback and feed forward. Okay. And this is very important for us to use in the coaching conversation always, because that is where it helps the client, and asking for feedback and feed forward, it helps us grow better as coaches. So it is not just for the client. You should use this even for yourself as a coach. So if you have to reflect, just think about when was the last time you asked somebody for feedback. Did you ever ask someone for feedback? And if you ask them, did you just go and say, can you provide feedback? Or were you very specific to tell them what you want feedback on? Right? Have you heard of feed forward? If you have used this, great. If you have not, it's the time to go ahead and ask for feed forward as well. When you are looking for that, or whenever you are looking for that, identify the people whom you trust, whom you have confidence on, and go ahead and use either clean feedback model or feed forward to help you become better, become the best version of yourself. I hope you are enjoying these discussions. Thanks a lot for joining us today. And in the next video, we will be talking about coaching frameworks. Coaching frameworks are the frameworks within which coaching is conducted. And we will touch upon what coaching framework is, how it helps us, and we will look at 2 coaching frameworks in the next video. Thank you for joining us today again. Have a great learning. See you back for the next session.